veteran who owns the car told us she has no idea who Mike is.
Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But you're man.
I read that you were a Republican prior to running for office and your mother was a previous holder of the seat. Is that true or misinfo? I grew up in a conservative family and I became a left winger in, basically, if you want to know my life story, 2003 was when I started to become more left wing when I was 19. And I can talk about it more if you guys are very curious, but, my family was very conservative, although my mom wasn't a conservative Republican. She was a type of Republican that it used to exist in Pennsylvania, which was a pro-labor Republican. In eastern and southeastern Pennsylvania, prior to the Tea Party, there was a large block of labor Republicans. This is very anachronistic now. Like it does not exist anymore, but it used to exist. I think the last one left office like 5 years ago. So there used to be, it is a thing in the Northeast, labor Republicans, but they're gone now. Like all liberal Republicans are gone now. The parties didn't used to just be conservative Republican, liberal Democrat. There were liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats. So that's like, it's a history lesson. So a lot of people think of Republican. Now, I still think that her takes were wrong on a lot of things, but pro-labor, pro-gay, pro-abortion right Republican is a little bit different than what you think of as a Republican now. So I think it's a little bit unfair. And now she's a Bernie Sanders supporter. So like, you know, I've changed her, you know, like she's abandoned the right completely. She's abandoned the Republican Party completely. And now my parents voted for Bernie Sanders in 2020 and, you know, had a Bernie Sanders sign in their yard, you know, like, so I am very happy to talk about taking conservative family members and making them left wing, you know, and that's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be proud of. But I've been a left winger for a long time. And what changed me was the Iraq War. That's what it started. I was more libertarian when I was a teenager because that's just my sister came out to me in high school back in 2001. So that was very, very different time. And I was kind of like a libertarian in the sense of like, oh, people should be able to get abortions. People should be able to be gay. But I had a conservative, like, military belief system because I grew up in that. I was born on an Air Force base. You know, like I was raised, my dad was a fighter pilot. I was raised in that culture of like national security, hawkish conservatism. And so that's just like part of my background. And then 2001 happened and my dad had retired from the Air Force in the late 90s and he had changed careers. He had over 20 years in the military, so he retired because he got retirement for life. And he started a second career and he started flying for United Airlines. And it was a very long road to get that job. He was very proud. And he was flying the 757 and the 767. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but the 9/11 planes that were hijacked, 2 of them were from United Airlines and 2 of them were from American Airlines. And they were 767s. My dad had about a 1 in 200 chance of being killed on 9/11. In fact, he was flying a 757 from Detroit to New York that morning of September 11th. And a friend of ours was killed. A captain my dad had flown with 3 weeks ago was killed. I think it was flight 135 or 175. Yeah, it was United Airlines flight 175. And we went to the funeral because it was a friend of ours. It was the captain of flight 175. So we were very, very closely connected to 9/11. You know, it was really a painful experience. So that's kind of where my more conservative background comes from because, you know, we lost friends in 9/11, you know, and I come from a military background. And that's when I accepted a commission into the Air Force myself. And I got a full ride scholarship to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I followed in my father's footsteps, went to the Air Force. And in my second year at the Air Force Academy, Bush decided to invade Iraq. And I just thought it was wrong. I thought it was a distraction from actually getting revenge on the people that killed our friends and family. I thought that it was illegal. I disagreed with it. And that wasn't... What percentage of people do you think in the military in 2003 thought the Iraq war was wrong? So I resigned in my second year. Which, if you know anything about the academies, the first year is the hard year. The first year is where you get tortured. The first year is when you go through... Siri, you go through basic training, you get treated like a pleb. And it was in my second year after recognition as a sophomore, you could still resign without having a military commitment. So I did. I resigned in 2003. And that was the beginning of my leftward swing. And it was very difficult because a lot of my life had been I had been kind of like really into aviation. And so I sacrificed like what I had worked so hard for, because I thought it was the right thing to do. And my career was not going to be allowed to be successful if I am opposed to George W. Bush. So I left school and I went and I worked manual labor jobs. I worked at the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I worked as a road construction guy. I worked as a toll collector. So I went from full ride to college to working manual labor jobs, because of my beliefs. So I want you to understand something. You're never going to change me. I'm going to do what's right and what I think is right every single step of the way. At that point, my mom decided to run for office. And she was very positively thought of by the teachers' unions, by the building trades unions. She was kind of a liberal Republican. She ran for office with lots of endorsements of labor. And she was like probably one of the most left-wing Republicans in Pennsylvania. Now, whatever. This is 2006, guys. Like, this is a different time. All right? That's a thing that existed back then. And then when Barack Obama was elected in 2008, the Democrats didn't even challenge her because she was like considered to be one of the good ones. In 2010, there was the Tea Party. You guys remember the Tea Party? And that's what she was challenged by right-wing billionaires. There's a right-wing billionaire in Pennsylvania. And this is where my radicalization against the right really began, because they put in basically a Tea Party like money against her. And she was primaried. She lost her primary because she wouldn't stand against unions. She wouldn't stand against queer people. So I respected that. I went back to college, graduated from Pitt. And then I worked in a law firm after that. And that's when the economic crash happened. I graduated in December of 2008 from college. And that's when the crash happened. So the economy, I stepped out of college, now that I paid for on my own, by the way. My parents never gave me any money. I took all the loans. I paid for everything. So when people attack me for what I've done and what I've accomplished and the changes of my position, I have always done what I thought was right based on what I knew at the time, and I changed my mind over the course of years and as I got more experiences. I'm not a red diaper baby. I didn't become a socialist because I was taught that by some authority figure. I learned it on my own. And so I worked at a law firm. I really liked it. They did securities arbitration. They did a whole bunch of like more left-wing plaintiff stuff. I enjoyed it. I was like, I'm smarter than these fucking lawyers. The economy was shit, so I was like, well, I might as well go to law school. I'm not going to get a good job. I had a kind of like a research job at a law firm, and I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm doing all their work. And so I went to law school. I don't conform like other people. It's a personality flaw with me. Right? Which is, I don't conform just because everybody's doing a thing. I don't just conform to it. I think about it myself. So I was in law school and I fucking hated lawyers. I was in law school and I hated the culture of law school. Maybe it was because I had experience as a manual laborer, but I just hated the culture of I am a mercenary and I'm selling my intellect to the highest bidder. And that you're a good lawyer if you don't know who your client is, and you're just as eager to fight for them if they're a pedophile or they're the World Wildlife Federation. That's the culture of lawyering in America. If you don't know who your client is, and if you walk in the room and they're a fucking rapist pedophile, you're just as excited to fight as ruthlessly for them as you would for, you know, a sick kid with cancer from a chemical dump. And I don't agree with that. I fundamentally do not agree with that kind of mentality, and I don't like it. Period. And, you know, I did securities arbitration while in law school, which is basically suing brokers and investment advisors for scamming their clients. You know, I left law school. I was disillusioned with it. And it was the worst year to graduate law school was 2013 because there were the fewest number of jobs in the legal profession ever. And that's when the Democratic Party approached me and said, hey, we want you to challenge Justin Simmons. This guy sucks. And we think you might be able to win. But they're redistricting the districts. We don't know how bad the redistricting is going to be. Would you challenge him in this fresh district? And if you know anything about 2010, maybe you guys don't know, but in 2010, the Republican Party launched a program called Red Map, which was a national program to gerrymander the state legislatures and congressional districts of the entire country that Republicans had control. Unfortunately, because of the 2010 like electoral wipeout from Obama, the Republicans had a trifecta in Pennsylvania, and they gerrymandered the fuck out of it. And so my district was unwinnable, and no Democrat has won my district since. But I was the first person to run in the new district, so I did it anyway. And when they asked me to run, there were only 6 days left of the petition period. There was some family stuff I skipped over that isn't really relevant, but we could talk about it if you guys want. I'm just giving you my biography because this is I want you to know this is me. This is my life. And so I ran for office. They fucked up. The Democratic Party filled out my petitions, and they put the profession section, which is kind of like an informational thing at the top of the petition. It's like, what is the profession of the candidate? And they put lawyer instead of law student or law graduate. And because they put lawyer, technically that was allowed because lawyer means somebody who has studied law. Attorney means someone, a member of the bar practicing law, right? They put lawyer. So technically I was right. My profession was lawyer. I just hadn't taken the bar. And so I got my petitions in 6 days. I had a huge amount of volunteers. A bunch of people were really excited for my race. We got like way more petition signatures than we needed. I think we turned in like 2 or 3 times more. The petition signatures were all legit, and there was no question about the petitions being legitimate. However, the Republicans were scared, and so they sued me. And they also sued a Republican who was challenging the governor of they're on the Republican side. He was a retired attorney, right? So I was a law graduate, and he was a retired attorney, and they sued us. And at the trial court level, I won. The judge said he's a lawyer and he didn't lie to anybody. He never told anyone he was a barred attorney. You're allowed to call yourself a lawyer if you completed law school. This is not a violation of anything. He wins. His petitions are good. I won. They appealed. The Republican Party took $100,000 and they sued me, and they appealed to the Commonwealth Court level. I won again. The Commonwealth Court Appeals Court said Mike's right. He didn't lie about anything. This is informational. No one was lied to. It's totally legitimate. He wins again. They sued me again. Now, at the time, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court was extremely conservative, partisan conservative Republicans. I think it was like 5-2 or 4-3. And they combined my case with that retired attorney who was primarying the Republican governor, who was very unpopular at the time. And they said, you lied when you said you were an attorney when you're retired, and you lied being a law graduate. Your bar card is expired, and you never took the bar, so you both can't say lawyer. You're saying you're an attorney, which is a violation of the professional rules. Therefore, you lied, and you tricked your petition signatures, the voters when they signed the petitions, and so we're throwing out all of your petitions. And what ended up happening is 6 months later, those judges were thrown out of office because they were sending emails with Obama with a bone in his nose. They were sending bestiality porn of horses fucking women to like people. They were sending porn to like on their like official like Supreme Court judge emails to like random prosecutors. So all those judges ended up getting replaced. And in 2015, I helped elect a slate of left-wing justices. So Pennsylvania now has a left-wing Supreme Court. And by the way, the left-wing Supreme Court threw out the gerrymandering the Republicans did. And so they ended up the Democrats ended up winning a whole bunch of Democratic, new Democratic congressmen, men and women. And it was a huge W. So anyway, so I lost that Supreme Court case. They threw me off the ballot. That was May 5th, 2022. The primary was on May 21st or May 22nd of 2022. My voters and volunteers were so pissed off. And the Democratic Party was so apologetic. They said, we're going to win. We're going to win the Democratic primary anyway with a write-in, Mike. And we rallied hundreds of volunteers. So what do? We rallied the volunteers. And my opponent sent private investigators and security to try to intimidate my volunteers. This is all covered in a story that's still up in my local news. And they didn't give a fuck. And so we won. We won the write-in. We got the most votes for a write-in in this county ever for this seat, for this like type of office, representative. We won the primary. They were spending tens of thousands of dollars to try to win the primary. The Republican who sued me was trying to win the Democratic Party as well. So he campaigned to win the Democratic primary. He got like 30 votes or something. And so we won the Democratic primary. It was May 5th, 2013, May 5th, 2013 to May 22nd, 2013, I was off the ballot. And then I won the Democratic primary. I got back on the ballot. So there you go. That is my background. And I've been a left winger, and I ran as a progressive liberal at the time because that's what I was. But then I had more and more experiences. I was like pro-labor, pro-gay rights, I was basically, as left-wing as you could as a Democrat. I had the endorsement of the AFL-CIO. I had the endorsement of the Teachers Union. I had the endorsement of Equality Pennsylvania. I had the endorsement of Planned Parenthood. I have the endorsement of every single left-wing group you can imagine endorsed me. So it is what it is, okay? I didn't end up winning because in 2014, the year I ran, it was May 5th, 2014 to May 22nd, 2014. I don't know why I said 2013. All right. It was May 5th, 2014 to May 22nd, 2014. There you go. To correct the years. No one won. No Democrat challenger won in the entire state of Pennsylvania at the legislative level out of 200 and I think it was 220 legislative races. Not one Democrat won. That one Democrat challenger won. Democrats won who were incumbents, but not one Democratic challenger won that year. It was the worst year to be a Democratic candidate in Pennsylvania ever. So that was that. I didn't end up winning my race. I was outspent. My seat was gerrymandered, and it is what it is. That's that. And then I got more and more into politics, and became more and more leftist over the years because of my personal experience with life, with, re-examining things that I had read at university and college, and just, being radicalized and pushed. And when Bernie Sanders ran and launched his campaign in 2015, I had a new lease on the frontier of what I could label myself opened up. And I have identified as a socialist ever since. And that is just the reality. That's my background. If you think that makes me a bad person, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you, that is where I come from. And I think that if you're an honest person, you'll say, this is quite the life you led, Mike. And it's like, well, I mean, it's not that exciting, but it's why I have the knowledge and experience in the areas that I have, right? How many leftists are the son of a fighter pilot? Colonel. How many leftists had a commission to a military academy? How many leftists worked road construction? How many leftists ran for political office? Like, how many people online have the breadth of experience that I do? Very few people know what I know. How many leftists who are online went to law school? I know about the military. I know about law. I know about politics because I have firsthand experience in those areas. Like, and that other people just don't have, you know, sometimes there are people that will know more than me in one of those sub areas. And I always respect them and I listen to their expertise. But that's why I have the breadth of knowledge that I have in foreign policy and domestic policy. I also worked in the Committee of Urban Affairs. So I know about where I was where I helped write legislation. I helped write a legislation on conservatorship for blight, for taking property from absentee landlords, and it passed in Pennsylvania. I helped write the conservatorship law that exists in Pennsylvania today. Like, there's many things that I did that put me so far ahead of somebody like Destiny, right? Or somebody like Vosh. They don't know anything. Like, that's the thing. So when these people are trying to attack me with out of context vignettes of my life, it's because they know they can't measure up. That's why if you are a Destiny fan, that's why Destiny's been obsessed with me, because he can't measure up. We did 6 substantive political debates. 6 multi-hour substantive political debates. And he looked like a dumb fuck in every single one. That's why he's been obsessed. That's why they all resort to endless ad hominem bullshit. That's why they try to mock me and call me fat or cringe or whatever, because they know they can't measure up. I know more about anything they talk about than they have ever learned. Like, I've forgotten more. So that's why they act the way they do. When did I get in contact with Hasan? Well, that's more of like my political. If you want to learn about how I became a creator, it's not that interesting, but I can get into it more. So after I ran for office, I got involved in politics. I started a consulting company to help left-wing progressive people run for office. I helped somebody run for state rep in 2016. I helped judicial candidates in 2015. I did a bunch of local offices in 2017. I helped people run for state legislature and Congress in 2018. And then in 2019, I was helping people run for, county offices and local offices. And, odd years are kind of low. If you're a political consultant and campaign staffer, they're kind of a lull in your organizing effort. You usually have to move to like Virginia if you want to get good jobs in political organizing, right? So I had free time, and I had become a fan of the Majority Report in 2015. And I had started listening to the Majority Report, and I would occasionally call in, right? And in my experience after 2016, if somebody wants to find me this YouTube link, but it's still up on the Majority Report, I called in after Hillary Clinton lost. And I talked about what went wrong with Hillary Clinton's field organizing in Pennsylvania. Why did she lose Pennsylvania? So after that call, I became kind of close to Sam Seder and Michael Brooks. And, I would call in from time to time. I would make my electoral predictions. I would make my arguments. I would talk about the things that I was organizing with. I just built up my friendship over the course of years. When I helped somebody run for office in 2018, and I took them to the TYT studios in person. And so I got connected with TYT. I got connected with MR in 2019, early on in 2019. One of the producers, I don't remember which one. One of the behind the scenes producers was going on a sabbatical because they had a job at making a pilot, which is a pilot episode of television. And so they needed a backup producer, and they said, "Hey, Mike." Michael Brooks reached out to me. And he's like, "Hey, Mike, would you work as a producer behind the scenes in Majority Report for a few months? It won't be a lot of money, but you'll get some experience and, more connection to the Majority Report." And I was like, hell yeah. So I worked as a producer on the Majority Report for a few months, and, all that stuff. So after my job with MR ended, I was like, I need to keep working for MR. I really liked making content with MR. I really liked Sam Seder. Michael Brooks and I were becoming closer friends. And I was like, damn, I really want to, I need to create myself a job. I need to create for myself a job. So I reached out to Sam Seder and I said, hey, there's this platform called Twitch. They have this, you guys should broadcast, restream your streams to Twitch. You have a decent size audience. They have this program called Twitch Primes. you could probably pick up a few $1,000s, if not tens of thousands of dollars, if you just got all your community members to use their Amazon Primes on Twitch. It would cost them no money, and it would give you a bunch of money into the show, right? It would grow your profile. And, you know, if necessary, I could do some just like Twitch only streams myself. Like, I'll run them to give you more Twitch like visibility. And Sam Seder was really into it, but he ended up, they were doing this other thing called the Morning Quickie. He was starting the Morning Quickie, and he was like, Mike, I'm doing the Morning Quickie. I don't know if you guys remember the Morning Quickie. I don't think that we have the bandwidth to like do another platform. He didn't really understand Twitch. I was like, all right, that's cool. So he ended up turning me down. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to make my own show. I have the time. I'm going to make my own show. I saw that, you know, I became friendly with Hasan and kind of became aware of Hasan. And I said, I'm going to debate Destiny. I was like, by the time I'm going to debate Destiny on Bernie versus Biden electability. And so I debated Destiny on that. Every single person who watched it said I crushed his ass. In fact, after the debate, he was like, you know, this Mike from PA guy makes me want to learn more about politics. That's how badly he lost. Like, I'm sorry, chat. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I made him more interested in electoral politics. But at the same time this was happening, he was feuding with Hasan. And so I went on Hasan's stream after, and Hasan was like hyped that I beat him in a debate. And he was like, yes, we defeat you, kicked his ass in a debate. And I was laughing, and we were having fun. And this is probably what radicalized him, because he saw me and Hasan streaming together, and he felt like I was replacing him, you know, because Hasan and him were falling out. And he felt really, he felt betrayed. He felt small. And this was the source of his psychological obsession with me. And it has not ended. It has not ended. I ended up debating him 6 more times, and he was dumber every single time. Michael Brooks debated him after I debated him with the funniest line ever. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes you're wrong. And I just started to build up my stream, you know, and I just kept streaming from there, and that's it. And Destiny became more and more obsessed with me. And Hasan. Obviously, his main obsession is Hasan. I'm more of a side obsession. I'm more like a secondary obsession. And it's continue there. Mike, a D fan called it an MR the next day after your debate.
You up. I'm calling because I'm a massive Destiny fan, and he's been doing some pretty rough stuff. He talked to Mike from PA at 4 a.m. last night, arguing over stock buyback, and they were like, why would you even do that? And they were just screaming at each other. And Mike has done a good job talking to him, being reasonable. He won him over on, like, Bernie electability. But I want you to talk to him, Sam. We need you. We need you.
Wait. Did you say at 4 a.m.?
That's insane.
I'm sure it was some crazy hour. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Honestly, I don't know if it was 4 a.m. or not. Honestly, I have no recollection of this at all. The reason why I was yelling at Destiny is because he didn't know that rich people could borrow against their own stocks. This is why Destiny is insane and insanely obsessed with me all these years later. He didn't know you could borrow against your own stocks.
It's unbelievably stupid. He just doesn't know anything.
You came in committed to a viewpoint that AOC was economically illiterate.
AOC is economically illiterate because she said that the money spent on stock buyback should be spent on labor.
My dad ran a small business. And whenever we had a good year in the small business, we tried to pay our secretaries more, or we tried to invest more in things for the business. Which
is a dumb fucking statement to make that shows you have no idea how anything in economics works.
Why? What would drive you to make these statements?
First of all, it's not dumb as
It is dumb as to expect a company to return profits to its workers.
As a CEO of a major company, I can take that money and I don't have to do that at all, right? I can actually have the company buy its own stock on the market, right? Yeah. That would effectively increase the stock price, right? And I've done nothing to make my product more valuable, my employees more happy. I haven't invested in the training or the workforce, but I've inflated the stock price, right?
Absolutely right.
So my question is, how is this different from a pyramid scheme?
Now, chat, she's getting agreed with by someone very, 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 you know, who is Slavkid Korza? She was the Security and Exchange Commission policy director. So probably one of the most educated bureaucrats or policymakers in the entire Security and Exchange Commission. Destiny was saying AOC was economically illiterate for arguing something that the policy director at the SEC agrees with. Huh?
No, that's a very good question.
That's why I said AOC is a idiot. Not to mention, wait, I don't even know what this has to do with stock buybacks at this point.
They are incentivized for short-term stock gains over long-term investment. It's better that dividends are paid because it's usually a taxable event. Not always, but usually. You could structure your sales during that spike in the price.
You could also get ultra by the SEC because this is called insider trading, Mike.
Oh.
In fact, this has actually been extensively studied, and there is a statistically significant increase in sales by directors and executives during stock buyback periods. He just doesn't know what he's talking about on a kind of a basic level.
You could structure it. You just,
no, you
I'm going to sell. Yes, you can.
Oh my God, it's just the most.
Oh my God. Do you know how it works?
I guess I don't, Mike. When these people sell their capital, eventually they will pay taxes on it. But again, if you want to talk
Why
about
would they sell? Why would they sell? You borrow against the value of your shares.
Taxable,
you don't have to liquidate. You can borrow against the value.
Okay,
and you
can
don't pay any taxes on borrowing. So right there, you're just wrong. Like if I own $1 billion, do you think? Wait a minute.
Why would I borrow against the value of my investment? Can you even do
Because
this?
you don't have to pay any taxes on it. That's why. If you borrow against the value of your shares, you never have to pay taxes.
Somebody in chat has to tell me, I'm not going to take his word for it. Somebody in chat, do you borrow against the value of...
The ultra-wealthy use loan money to fund their lifestyle. Average people need income to pay for basics, like housing and food. But the ultra-wealthy don't. They can just live on borrowed cash.
It's like one of the most fundamental parts of our economy.
Okay. Oh, he doesn't know anything.
I can't believe you don't know that rich people take loans against their...
I don't think any rich person does this. What?
What?
You can't just do that willy-nilly.
Yes,
so that's why I was yelling at him, because he's stupid. And the thing about Destiny is when he doesn't know shit and it results in his interlocutor being proven right with their point, he'll just say, I don't believe you. Chat, help me, chat. He always doubles when he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. So this is why debating Destiny is pointless, because he doesn't care about being right or truthful or anything like that. It's just he's a dumb fuck who doesn't know anything basic. Chat, is this real? Of course. Why do you think he's obsessed with me 6 years later? Why do you think he's trying to get... He has like 4 clips where he thinks he lies about the 4 clips. And creates a alternative narrative about these clips to try to make me look cringe or whatever, or fat or whatever, because he doesn't know anything. He's a stupid fuck. And he's also a sex pest, and we're going to get into that next.
No, of course you can.
No, you can't. These are tax advantage investment accounts. You cannot just take loans against them. That's the whole point of these tax advantage accounts.
Destiny, you're arguing against a position I don't have. If you are rich, if you're Jeff Bezos, does you think he liquidates his shares to buy?
Yes, he needs liquid cash because that's how we purchase things in the United States. You use currency to do it. And I'm going to take out a secured loan against my investments?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Because I don't want to pay interest with cash that I already have. Why the f would I pay interest when I have money in an investment? Why would I take out a loan from the bank and use my own investments to secure that loan and then pay interest to the bank when I could just liquidate my own shares, Mike? Why the f would this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Because you don't have to pay taxes when you take a loan, but if you liquidated stuff that you have a capital gain in, you'll have to pay taxes. That's why.
He just doesn't know anything. I don't know why the f I'm watching this. It's okay. Okay.
So, because I humiliated him like that, he's been obsessed with me years later.
The veteran who owns the car told us she has no idea who Mike is.
Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But you're man.